I'm gonna recommend you for Seishin style books or that kind of books. Nakakabasa naman na kayo. I-recommend ko dahil nabasa ko na to at na-experience ko na some of them once or twice. So let's start. Huwag na tayong mag-atubili. Ako masyado nag-hesitate when I'm recording because sayang yung oras eh. The first book I wanna recommend and talk about is called Wabi Sabi by Beth Compton. I think I stumbled upon this because of this thing. I think it's Japanese Nihonjin philosophy, right? Yung Ikigai, sorry. And then I stumbled upon Wabi Sabi, which is very closely related with that Eastern philosophy. Yung Wabi Sabi, hindi nila masyadong ma-explain din, but it's something na laging sinasabi daw ng mga Nihonjin. And then nagustuhan ko to kasi this book starts out with a vibe, a tone, sort of, na hinahanap kong matagal na. And then, it just focuses on sort of a trend word, right? A sort of a trending kind of thing that a lot of artists actually are into. Off the bat kind of thing. I like it because it's an audiobook. It's a free audiobook on YouTube. And then, the author, I think, as a female author, is very careful about, being expert. Parang may kilatis, pakita niya yung kilatis niya as a woman. Sa experience nga niya, so nandito dumarating yung mga themes ng paghihirap, not suffering, but like maling akala. Tinatagalog ko na yung diba? It's in English, by the way. It reads kind of like, if you're familiar with HBO's Tokyo Vice, that's what I'm reading now. That's what I'm watching now nowadays. It kind of reads like that. So English and Japanese, a lot of that. And also a history kind of book. May history dyan ng tea, may history dyan ng design, sensibilities. So she focuses, and yung tumama sa akin dito, the author, focuses a lot on, what do you call that? Muzukashi. Diba? Yung paghihirap, yung toil na part na ina-explain niya na yung maling akala ba, maling misconceptions na akala mo ganito lang pero mas more pa pala, mas wide range pa pala, or hindi pa pala, mali pa pala yung expectation natin for some things that already exist, especially in Japanese culture. I think this is the learning that sort of doesn't spoil the book. This is why I recommend this book, because with a lot of things, not just Japanese stuff or hobbies or anything, may ganun talagang mga parts na hindi naman magulo, hindi naman matagal din. Sobrang tagal, it's not, pero it's just that merong mga kailangang steps, not necessarily marami. Maybe it could be commitment, it could be, things that take from you. Parang nare-reflect din siya dun sa philosophy or dun sa design sense nga na talaga namang makikita mo rin dun sa kultura ng ganito. So obviously it's Japanese culture, Wabi Sabi, right? And this is also where I learned yung Ikigai, na meron palang two types of Ikigai. One is the bland sort of Zen kind of space Ikigai na I don't know if I could show it a lot in the video for my Telegram video subscribers. Ikigai ba na maraming negative space, which I love. Then there's the Ikigai na very loud. So this is the kind of book for that. And then tuloy nyo na lang, marami rin naman siyang recommended free audiobooks na ganito rin yung tema. So it's easy. I like listening to this book paulit-ulit when I'm working on something new in this room, actually. So I really recommend Wabi Sabi by Beth Compton. It's a free audiobook on YouTube. Second book that I wanna recommend, an engineering book. Hindi naman siguro, ang audience ko hindi naman siguro educated when it comes to what's happening in the world. And I've also been very honest about following Sadhguru. So I bought his book and I read it actually around 2007, so mga 17 rather. Mga 5 years ago na. I was really into it. I'm recommending this book because personally I do meditate. I know how to meditate. I think nasabi ko na sa inyo yun, or na-record ko na I started meditating as a child dahil I got into it with my cousins, and then I think I was the more serious one with that. Brother also meditates, and we got into, you know, different types of meditation basically. And this one, inner engineering, is more of focuses on the inner person, the inner being. Focuses more on fixing yourself as a human. Ang lagi namang sinasabi dyan ni Sadhguru, tatagalogin ko na, is meron talaga tayong panglabas na mundo or stuff, but then yung tao hindi niya naiintindihan na accumulate tayo ng accumulate to the point na yung experiences hindi natin nalalaman na nasa loob. So without knowing how to fix or work with or work out yung inner engineering ng technology ng pagiging tao. Kasi sabi ni Sadhguru, yung human body is the quintessential technology of the human race, the human body, right? And meron siya mga jokes about comparing it to iPhone. Syempre, he's that kind of yogi, guru. So, it's fun. It's fun actually. He ma-enlighten ka tungkol sa kung ano yung mysticism at hindi naman sa siguro cautionary, and also why I recommend it is hindi siya nakakalito. Simple lang ang turo ng book na to about mysticism, about what's happening and how gurus do it, right? And how he experienced that. Because, and I have a great respect for Sadhguru because, you know, pinasok ko din yun to be honest. And I don't agree with a lot of things he says, but the thing that I want to recommend na malaman mo dito is like that part of the world, India, has, it's not even, I can't explain in words how rich their culture is when it comes to spirituality, Seishin, and religion. So it's another perspective, you know. It's kind of the thing that I would recommend to people who are innocent about what's on the other side of the planet. These guys, and Sadhguru especially, is a good English man. Alam mo yun, Englishero talaga siya. And he has things he can say that sort of will make you, ayaw ko, mas kung mapapaisip ko or hindi, or you have your reservations, of course. I do have my reservations as well. But that guy is something else. Yun na lang yung sabihin ko. And he knows it. He knows it also. So, I think hindi naman, if you haven't met him through his videos or haven't been indulged by that, then get his book. Inner Engineering. I think also a bestseller. I read it. I have a paperback version. Hard copy version, you know, and I actually read it. You know, it's one of those things na hindi naman sa may makakausap mo siya or whatever. You know, it's just you want to learn about inner engineering. You know, the manual of this human being, the what the inner sort of secrets are na perspective ng isang guru, diba? Literal na yoga master. I'm not sure if he calls himself that though, but he is one of those guys. And I recommend this highly for people who do yoga, matanda na, mga parents, ganyan, because mas magme-make sense sa yung science of yoga. And also, you can appreciate that guy, especially his knack talaga And yun talaga yun. That's how I would describe the author also. I highly recommend, Inner Engineering. There's other books that I haven't read, maybe sometime soon, but I'm focused on other things right now, obviously. But yes, this is the second book that I would recommend. That is a good read, a very light but like fun read. And I hope you could try it for yourself. Okay, the third one that I want to recommend as a sort of a spirituality Christian age book na free audio din sa YouTube. You could just search for it, the name. It's written by a monk from the Soto Zen faction of Zen Buddhism, si Shinryu Suzuki, The Beginner's Mind. I gotta admit, this is one of my guilty pleasures because I'm a fan of Zen Buddhism and I practice Zazen. So, right off the bat, the things I learned from this is yung postura and creativity, and sort of brought me into the light about what really happened in Japan when Zen Buddhism was the main sort of religion of samurai. But to spoil it a bit and to, be honest about it, gusto kong i-recommend to kasi para sa akin, ito yung kind of turo na tama yung logic pero walang Kristo. And that's not a light thing to say, because one of the main reasons why I am trying to discover the Shinto angular approach is because of yung theory ko is closer to this, sort of in a sense na it's the perspective that I'm currently exploring. And why I say that is because Zen, according to this book, is the realm of pure religion. And that's enlightening to me, especially because the meat of this book is it's deeper than the first two books, I would say. It's deeper because it's closer to Christianity. And it mentions also that Buddhism knows that It mentions also na you don't need to be of other religions to not practice Zen. Okay ba yung pagkasabi ko nun? Parang sinasabi niya, hindi naman, walang pake or walang, regardless of your practice, your religion, what kind of Muslim ka pa, diba? Dito mo makikita yung parang accommodatingness ng Zen and what it is really, and how to sort of practice it. Kasi it's not, may parts na medyo instructional, so very fun siya in that way. And then may parts na talagang, what does that even mean? Like, how did it get there? And ito na yung mga tinatawag na koans, right? Mga non-dualistic, I love that about this book, non-dualistic and non-gaining factor of practice, meditation, work, even like being just there. So it explains to you in Buddhism terms, and it adds a little bit of history there. Dahil yung master ni Shunryu Suzuki, si Dogen Zenji, diba? Yun yung master niyang kalbo. So, ay, bahala na kayo kung paano nyo pero ang ginagawa ko rin itong pampatulog kasi mahirap maging laging intense, and this is a very Zen book talaga. It doesn't get any Zener than this for me. I've repeated this more than 6 times, and it's kind of my guilty pleasure. But I'm not a Buddhist. Iniwan ko na yung Buddhism sa mind ko, the practice ko din. But I do practice Zazen. Yung Zazen lang naman yung gaganon ka. And meditation, of course. So maganda talaga tong book na to. It's one of my highly recommended free audiobooks on YouTube. Ano pa ba? Parang nasabi ko na lahat. I wouldn't wanna extend, but I highly recommend this, especially if you're like me, mahilig ka sa monk. Kung may nakasabay ka ng monk sa airport and you're like, what the fuck, right? Kasi ganun nangyari sa akin one time. I travel alone, right? So, yun, doon nagsimula yung interest ko for this kind of, apparently, the realm of pure religion. And I agree with that. That Buddhism is the realm of purity. Diba? Pure logic pa nga I would say. Pure logic. But, yeah. I would say it is ideology because, even the Buddhists would say that Buddhism is really ideology, because we know what came after. And to be the fourth book that I will be recommending as a Seishin kind of thing. Seishin is what I discussed in the previous video also. Yun nga, talagang gumalaw sa buhay ko, diba? Parang na-drive lang naman ako, diba? So if you know sort of where I'm driving at, then the fourth book is that. Sige, fourth book na. I highly recommend Beyond Order by Jordan Peterson. Post a lot about this guy. He's a clinical psychologist turned author. And if you haven't read 12 Rules for Life, this is the follow-up to that, which is Beyond Order. 12 more rules for life. And I don't know if I could fit what I could say about this in under 6 minutes as a fourth part. I recommend ko lang naman to kasi it sort of revivifies sort of what it means to have rules and measures in one's life. As an individual, as a practitioner, as anything, as someone who had trauma from anything before. Kaya nga for life diba? For, it's not for biology, for survival. It's really literally for life, I think. And it's one of the biggest things that happened in the recent, they say, para daw sa humanity. And I believe that because I've been following Jordan Peterson for a while now, and not that I watch him closely, but astig yung mga turo niya to be honest. Rules and measures yung naging thing niya dito, because he doesn't try to draw the line, but I don't know if that's even true if of a review, right? But when you read it, and I highly recommend that you read this, maaalala mo lang din kung ano yung sabihin ng rules. So, because it's in the title, you know. So, syempre ako naman, bilang who I am, mahilig ako sa psychological stuff eh. And what that means is sort of yun pa rin yung outer, yung panglabas, pati yung inner din, na mental states, na way of being, kikitungo sa kapwa. Nandiyan lahat yan, family. Sinabi niya dito sa part ng book na libro, part na to, one of the rules is like, you know, hindi siya relationship therapy. It's not kilig stuff, to be honest. It's not kilig stuff. You know, probably doing a bad review of it, but I just highly recommend it for that, you know. And I've explained this to my parents because I share a lot about Peterson na in his rise to fame and to where he is right now. For me, siya yung tao na tatagalugin ko ulit na nakapaggamit ng mga salita para explain yung kaduluduluhan ng mga hindi natin naiintindihan tungkol sa English and Western world. Na hindi pa natin naiintindihan, or maybe naiintindihan mo na, pero it comes from the perspective of a doctor, another doctor, right? I think two of these are like almost like that, mga authors na sabi ko dito. I'm not even questioning that, but ang sabi ko, ulitin ko, is like ginamit niya yung salita para i-explain yung kasulok-sulukan, yung dulo-dulo, yung pinakamatayog na kayang isipin ng pag-i-English, you know. And now he's dubbed as the most influential Western intellectual. So I admire that. I really like that about what this doctor has done for. And if you've read sort of comments on his videos and like what's been happening all over social media about, especially when he was gone noong 2020, nagkasakit, you know, mapapaisip ka talaga eh. And I hope you could discover also, you know, what he's writing about. I think that's one of the best things about JBP. So, basahin mo na lang because I highly recommend it. And this video is for that. Anyway, so for me, it's like I wrote here in my notes, diba? Clear science, diba? If ever kung may pag-iisipan siya dyan na data or sinulat siya dyan, for me, it's clear science. It's definitely something that has been tried and tested, that a writer would like to write, diba? Medyo nakakasilaw, to be honest, because it's in English. But if you could sort of talk to someone about it, which I do a lot. With my family, you know, with my friends, I do talk a lot about Peterson. Talaga. And that's why I highly recommend it. And it would be a parang under, ang tawag sa ganun, parang unfair naman if sinabi kong hindi na bago yung buhay ko dahil sa tao na to. Because when I had my problems with depression, you know, this book and his story as a person, as a doctor, diba, was one of the things na nakapitan ko. So astig yun for me. It's just cool, and he would say that about himself as well. So it's cool. One of the highly recommended best-selling books that I would not sort of lose. Hindi mawawala yan.